Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right, and here we are for a special episode of Honesty Lost. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully, and with me, as always, the mama bear herself, Momma Higgins, Erika. Hello.
Hello, hello.
And we got a very special guest, the man of the hour himself, Mr. Todd Sarner, MFT, who works with, he's the director of Transformative Parenting and a licensed psychotherapist. Is that correct?
That is true.
Yes, a licensed psychotherapist, parenting coach, counselor. He does it all. And by the end of this, he'll probably be able to tell you if I'm crazy or not. So I'm excited.
You want that answer now, Steve?
Yes, Steve, I'm right there with Todd. You already are. We're good.
He's got it now. So Todd, you've been doing this now for over, I think, 20 years, right? It's been 2 decades since you've been working with families.
Sure. And thanks for having me. And I gotta say, I hope it doesn't sound too pretentious, but I think I am the best Todd Sarner in the universe. So
you are.
I defy you to find a better Todd Sarner. And if you do, I'll fight him.
I love it.
Unless he's bigger than I am, and then in that case, we're good. We'll do a thumb war. It depends what we're talking about. I started working with kids mostly when I was in school, and college and grad school. I worked with kids in group homes and foster and adoptive care for a while, all sorts of different roles. I started doing trainings as I got educated and trained myself. I started doing trainings in the foster and adoptive world. But yeah, I decided around the time my son was born, which was almost 23 years ago now, I decided what I wanted to do is I wanted to be a parenting coach. And I still didn't have my license as a therapist, but it just made so much sense to me to not work with the kids, but to work with their parents. And not because the parents were broken, but the parents really are where everything begins and ends, I think. Different kids have different sensitivities and different temperaments, but it's all about the parent. And I kind of, becoming a dad myself, I went, nobody else is really supposed to be the answer for my kid, other than his mother and I. Yeah, we can have lots of helpers and good people in our world and teachers and coaches. My kid was an athlete and he had some great coaches, but I just thought, look, I want to be the guy behind the scenes, helping the parent to be the parent they want to be. And that just made more sense to me. So at first I started doing parent coaching and I thought I might never get my license because I found what I wanted to do and I didn't need a license for that. But then I realized I wanted to work with parents also on some of their issues, including couples counseling. And somebody just asked me on an airplane once, they're like, you work with attachment science and you work with the bond between parent and child and you want to help kids. Why wouldn't you help their parents with their marriage too? Because that affects them so much. I'm like, duh. Okay. Yeah. Good point. And the science is the same in my book. Maybe we'll unpack some of it, but attachment science, that the primary thing is the bond between you and your child, or the bond between you and your partner. And that sets the tone for everything. So long answer to your question, Steve, but yeah, I've been doing parent coaching for almost 23 years. And I've been doing couples counseling for parents for, I don't know, I think 17 or 18. I should know that because I think I have to pay my license sometime here soon before the summer. But it'll be my anniversary, but been doing it a long time and I love it. You'll see. Ask me a question. I'll go for about 2 hours.
I love it.
And then you'll forget what you even asked. But I love what I do. I can't think of anything better than helping kids by helping their folks.
Yeah.
Are we out of time?
No. Boy, he's funnier than I am.
I know.
I brought my A game, Steve.
But I mean, to go into group homes and work with kids like that is so impressive. And Erika has talked so much about the parents. It all starts with them and it ends up hindering the teachers. And from there, it just snowballs. It has a snowball effect. And Erika, wouldn't you agree? Like, the parents are the biggest challenge, whether it's athletics, whether it's dealing with problems at school. They just kind of have their own mindset of what they want out of their kids.
Yeah, it was funny. I knew we were having this, our podcast tonight with Todd, and last night we were at Reed's baseball game and he's in 3rd grade. So let's just set the stage. It's Little League. I'm a huge believer in you have coaches for a reason, my husband being one of them. And a little boy, he's in 3rd or 4th grade, and he had something in his eye. And you would have thought that he took a ball to the eye, his face was crushed, the world was ending. The mom goes running out onto the dugout or onto the mound. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, he's fine. There's nothing wrong. He literally has something in his eye. The coaches were handling it. The mom literally runs out like the world was ending. And I unfortunately in the moment texted my husband and his phone was in his pocket, so he wasn't paying attention to it. And I was like, what has changed since Owen, my oldest, who's 17 and a half, was playing Little League and now? Like, I would never have thought to run out onto the mound and save my child from a speck of dirt in his eye. Like, I just wouldn't have thought of it.
I was a Little League coach for a long time. My kid was a great baseball player. He was on Team USA in Northern California. He was just a great.
Wow.
But the thing was that he loved it, and I was always aware of staying like, dude, this is about you. If you love it, do it. If you don't love it, great. It's not dad's agenda. And I think that helped a lot. But as a coach and as a board member for a while in a beautiful small town near here that I won't out because of this story, but boy, we had to have signs all over the field. No contracts are being signed today.
Yes.
The umpires are volunteers. Can you please just chill? there was restraining orders against parents that had like a couple times right before I came in that they had to stay 500 feet away from the field. They would go 500 feet away and shout. It's just so crazy. Like that parents are playing out all of their drama, you know? And yes. I try to focus most of the time, not on that craziness and not on, because Steve, you kind of jokingly said, Todd, you can tell me, you know, by the end of this talk if I'm crazy. And again, the answer is yes. But as a therapist, you kind of laugh about it because that's a question people ask all the time.
Oh, I know.
Like my very first client, like at the end of the first session, they're like, so do you think I'm crazy? The biggest thing with parents, and I've worked with 2,300 parents in my coaching alone. And am I screwing up my kid is like so present for so many people. They're so worried they're going to screw up their kids. And so I try to keep far away from anything that sounds like judgment. It's just like, hey guys, we have a job to do here. There's nothing more important to me, to the positive development of the world, than changing the way we parent our kids. That's kind of a paraphrase of something Marianne Williamson said once. But I just think it's so important. Let's just dedicate ourselves to creating secure kids that grow into their greatest potential. And if that's what our focus is, we're going to make the world a better place. So let's not worry about if you screw up here or there, because everybody does. There's zero. I have not met the perfect parent. I have degrees and all this training and all this stuff, and I screwed up all the time. Okay. But at the end of the day, I have a great kid. I see all these great kids around, and that's what we should, you know, focus on is like, how do we empower parents? I went off on another tangent. Again, are we out of time?
No. I mean, that's all fascinating to me. And Erika loves the psychology of everything as well. How willing would you say are the parents to come in for coaching? I mean, is it something that they're resistant to initially, or are they
mom or dad?
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay.
Look, I don't deal with
that.
I don't deal with court-ordered stuff. I don't deal with mandatory stuff, you know. So I deal with pretty high-functioning people. Like, you know, my people are athletes and CEOs, and not all of them, but, you know, people who are doing well in the world for the most part. I started off in Marin County, California, which is,
you did. That's a great, very wealthy county.
Yeah. Madeline Levine wrote books, has written a bunch of best-selling books out of Marin, The Price of Privilege and Teach Your Children Well. Madeline was a friend that I learned a lot from, and she came to a lot of trainings I put on. But these are high-functioning people. So if they're calling me, they're there because they want to be there, right? But in general, I got to say 9.5 out of 10 times it's mom. And mom and dad are not functioning well around how to parent. They're usually polarizing around parenting. Maybe you guys know this story. Like one parent, usually mom, is saying, hey, these kids need more connection. These kids need more. Did we lose
She'll come
Momma
back.
Higgins? Okay. So one parent is usually saying these kids need more connection from us. They need more attention. And the other parent, in response to kids acting up or not listening or whatever, usually says, no, they need more discipline. You know, they need more rules. And then they start really polarizing with each other. So mom usually digs in more about them needing more connection, and dad digs in about needing more discipline. And then it's affecting their marriage. That's just the typical situation. So by the time they call me, they might both be on board, usually because they've heard about me from a friend or something. I don't know if you heard any of that, Erika,
I didn't. For some reason, my internet cut out, and I apologize.
No problem. I was just simply saying, I won't repeat it all, but simply saying that a lot of times parents come to me and they're pretty in their own bunkers about usually mom saying the kids need more attention from us, and the dad saying they need more discipline and they need more rules. Both are correct. It's just a matter of how you do it and in what order you do it. but they're usually fighting with each other about that, and it's affecting their marriage. So by the time they call me, at least one of them is very much on board. And a lot of times one of them is coming in, kicking and screaming, again, more often dad.
Yeah.
But I'm a pretty good dad whisperer. I'm a dad. I don't talk in just language that feels really overly feminine all the time, you know? And so usually dad, by a couple times, is like, I knew you'd agree with me. I'm like, I'm not agreeing with you, dude. I'm just saying some things that you guys aren't able to communicate to each other. And I'm just helping you figure it out and helping you understand what your kid needs better and the sequence of things. And so usually people are pretty enthusiastic. A lot of times they come in going, can you just please help us? We need
Just
some
fix
help.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, fix it. But at least they're not doing what I saw more at the beginning of my career, which was fix my kid, fix my kid, fix my kid.
Right.
Sometimes kids need help, guys. Sometimes I went to a therapist when I was 13 and my parents divorced, and I loved it. You know,
Yeah.
my parents were fighting with each other. So a judge said, make them go to see a counselor. And we all went, and I was like, I like this, you know, and it was part of why I became a counselor. But for the most part, like I said before, that's not what they need. They need us to get our stuff together, because if we don't have our stuff together, if we're dysregulated all the time, if we're fighting with each other, if we're not on the same page, all of those things will make it that your kid doesn't listen to you. All of those things will make it so they don't know what the rules are, so they don't follow the rules. That's just how it is. The kids need a compass point. And if the compass point is going like this, they don't know who to follow. And so they just do the thing we did yesterday, and then parents get mad at them, you know?
Right.
So structure is a very important, I mean, I found in my family, like, structure is something that, you know, and boundaries is something that helps us succeed. And
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just something, but you're overall saying that structure and that compass, I like that idea of, like, listen, we need to be able to navigate this and have structure within our family. Talk to us about that a little bit.
Absolutely. Like, if you break down my process that I work through with people, it's not a secret. I don't try to make it a secret. I'm like, hey, if you can do this on your own, go do it. Awesome. And I mean that. And I wrote the book to try to give people something that was cheap that they could look at and try to do some of this stuff. But the overarching thing is that you need to be a leader for your child. That's easy to say, but really, including in my clientele, there's a lot of people either doing the really harsh authoritarian thing, or they're doing the, oh, hey, let's be best friends. And what do you think that we should maybe do sometime, you know? And neither of those work. Mm-hmm. That's not what kids need. They don't need a dictator, and they don't need a best friend. They need a leader. And I say it's mostly like a papa bear or a mama bear, right? That's the energy. It's a mother goose who leads. And when a mother goose leads, what do the goslings do?
They follow. Mm-hmm.
They don't, like, you don't have to get behind them and go, hey guys, can we kind of go over this? The mother goose just goes, here we go. And the goslings are like, oh shit, guess we're going. Sorry, I almost cursed there.
No, you can. It's okay.
I never know. But I curse a lot with my clients. Try not to do it too much. But the overarching thing is, accept that you are the leader. Your job is not to make them happy first. Your job is to take care of them. Mm-hmm. And usually those two things go together, and that's awesome. But your job is not to give them ice cream for dinner because they want ice cream. Your job is to take care of them and make sure they have a good full belly and they have a connection. But then if you break it down into the three phases, I always start with connection, because I have great parents come to me and they mean well and they love their kids, but there's almost always a whole bunch of things they don't understand about how to help a kid feel connected and to feel connected when they're not with you. That is a struggle we all have. Mm-hmm. You could be a grown-ass adult and still be worried about your friendships or your marriage and, oh, is she going to leave me, or are they going to be happy with me? Think about it for a 4-year-old or a 7-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 14-year-old who all sorts of crazy things are going on in their body. They need connection first. We can't take that for granted, and we have to know how to do it. I can answer any more questions about any of these things. The second phase is more what you were just speaking to, Erika, is structure, rhythm, routine. Okay. Who's an athlete that doesn't have structure and rhythm and routine about their day? I didn't graduate from UC Berkeley, but I went to school there as an extension student before I transferred into the school I ended up going to grad school. And all my friends, half my friends, I just got married in Mexico a couple months ago. And
Oh, congratulations.
half the guests were like my friends from back in those college days. Thank you. But go Bears. We never played. I don't think we've ever played UConn, so we don't.
No, you haven't.
No.
But I was around a lot of football players. Our fraternity was like half football players, and I saw what those guys were doing in terms. They also goofed off sometimes, but they had a structure, right?
Yeah.
How does a kindergarten teacher run their classroom? Do they have like, maybe we'll do this, and what do you guys think? No,
it's morning meeting. It's math
we do
circles.
This, and we do that, and we do that, and we do that, and there's no kid in there going, no. I don't want to play with blocks right now, because it's what we do right now.
Yeah,
I saw it in the group homes. The time where we had kids blow out is when they didn't have anything to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is we were in between things, and all their anxiety came up because these kids were taken out of their homes for a reason. There's a lot of trauma, a lot of anxiety, and if we didn't have some, next thing you know, a chair's going through a window because the transitions are so anxious. So I'm not saying schedule like a German train schedule. I'm saying like rhythm and routine and ritual. But to me, that also includes teaching kids consequences in a fair, matter of fact, not punishing way. You do this, you do that. You don't do this, you don't do that. That's just the rules. You don't eat dinner, you don't get dessert. That's not me punishing you.
Nope.
The rule is we have dinner, and that's my job.
Natural consequences, and we talk about that a lot in our house.
Yeah, but most people don't. I'm sure you do, but most people who come to me are not doing this. They're not. They're kind of loosely doing things day to day, and maybe this day they did this, and this day they were feeling guilty because they yelled, so they don't do a limit, and then the next day their kid doesn't respond to the consequence, and they get mad at
So it's inconsistent.
And parents not being on the same page on consequences. But
and
I
consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going a mile a minute, but I put that in structure because that's what it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Like, it's teaching cause and effect day to day. That's not punishment. That's me teaching you what we do. Because if you don't know what we do, how am I going to get mad at you if you don't know right?
Exactly.
So teaching cause and effect and consequences is not only something that will keep a parent sane because it works, but it also is equipping your kid to go out in the world and not be a total failure because they don't turn things in on time, or they don't show up on work on time, and they don't honor the rules of their relationships because they understand inside that when I do the wrong thing, bad things happen. And it wasn't because somebody punished me. It's because I kind of learned, oh man, that time I was yelling in the car, Dad pulled over the car and he was quiet and he was peaceful. He didn't yell at me, but then man, I missed out on that thing I wanted to do because Dad pulled over the car. And man, it would have been easier if he yelled at me because then I could have yelled back and then I could have felt justified in what I did. But no, Dad was just cool. He says, oh, hi, man. I promised you I'd pull over if you did that. And then the third phase is discipline and behavior. And every time I go through my process with people, which again, go check out my YouTube. That's free. Check out the book. It's like $16. But when people work with me, by the time we get to discipline, they're usually like, hey, I know we're going to talk about defiance and opposition and aggression and boundaries and limits and sibling aggression and all this stuff. I know we're going to talk about that, but I got to tell you, my kid's not really doing that much anymore. And I go, and it's a clinical term again, because parenting is not supposed to be what you do when your kid does something to make them stop doing it. That doesn't make any sense. I say that every day, like 10 times, but that's not parenting.
No.
Discipline is the same root word as disciple. It means to be a good leader. It means to be proactive. It means to be, let's avoid most problems in the first place because we're connected and we have rhythm and we have predictability. And I've been teaching you every day, do this, don't do that. And it's not because I'm mad at you. It's because we can't function as a family if people are not doing their homework and people are not doing their chores. It doesn't work, right? But then discipline and behavior is really mostly just, hey, my kid doesn't know how to do a bunch of stuff because they're a kid. I'm an adult and I don't know how to do a bunch of stuff. He doesn't know how to use his words sometimes. He doesn't know how to regulate his thoughts or his emotions or his nervous system sometimes. He doesn't know how to express when he's feeling really sad or overwhelmed sometimes. And that's why he's acting this way. I don't need to let him do it. I don't need to let him yell at me or somebody or break something. I'm going to set a limit about that. But it's my job to show him how to get through it. It's my job to show him how to have his feelings, how to say what he's like, get his feelings out of his body. And a lot of times that is setting firm but loving limits. I don't have to punish you. I have to say no to you sometimes when you're being a complete ridiculous person and telling me that you want an ice cream for dinner. Or one time, and I'm not supposed to talk about my kid, he doesn't like it, but one time when he was like 3, he was full of a bunch of frustration, and maybe his mom and I were not really setting limits with him the right way. Maybe we were tired, but all of a sudden at 9 o'clock at night, and I've told this story before, he goes, I want to go out back and play with the raccoons.
At 3 years old?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We had a big backyard and there was raccoons digging up our lawn. And it was, I love all human beings and I love most creatures, but man, raccoons sometimes.
Yes.
You go camping and they steal your damn cookies.
They're in the garbage. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. But anyway, they're murderous little bastards. Okay. Please forgive me the raccoon defamation.
Please don't worry.
But I'm just kidding. Just going off. It's late in the day. But if you understand the psychology of human beings, and this is not just 3-year-olds, this is your husband, this is your wife, right? Is when they're feeling full of frustration, they will poke. They will ask for something that's ridiculous. We will push the boundaries. And that's not on purpose a lot of the time. It's actually like my 3-year-old going, Mother, Father, I have a bunch of frustration inside and you're simply not tending to it, properly. And I can't go to sleep until I get it out. So can you please set a limit with me? Like if they knew how to say it
while you do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I just got super fierce all of a sudden. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I'm just like, no. I love you, but that is freaking ridiculous. No. And he's all, but I want to, no, you are not. I love you. And I know you want to go outside and I know you're frustrated, but no. And finally he cried and he cried and he cried and he got it out. And what did he do, parents?
Fell asleep.
He goes, I want to go to bed, Daddy.
And that was it.
He was a little demon a minute ago. I'm kidding, son. But he was just all over the place, but he got it out. And how do we feel when we get it out, guys? How do we feel when we have that snotty, getting it all out cry? We feel better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went on a long journey there, but that's how I work with people, is like walking them through that journey, because it's hard and you need to go try some stuff and you need to learn some stuff and you need to look at some stuff from a different direction. But it's super, super rewarding work and people love it, and there's other good people out there. Obviously, we know there's a lot of great experts, and find that one that guides you, find your guide, find your teacher. But I got to say, I love my clients and I love doing this work. And now I've been doing it so long, you go on Amazon and you look at reviews of the book and people are like, I've been working with Todd for 18 years. And I'm like,
I was looking at them.
Oh my good. And I know these people. I still talk to these people sometimes. They'll call me up occasionally, and say, hey, wanted to give you an update. One of the people on there, that her and her husband, I saw them for couples counseling, and they're one of the only people I worked with that for couples counseling that decided peacefully to split. They're just like, hey, we don't, this isn't right. And they did it totally peacefully. And they continue to come to me with their new partners to talk about their son. We'd have 5 of us on a Zoom
Yeah.
And we would talk
Wow.
about their son and different things that came up when he was a teenager. So it's super great to be a couple decades in and see, oh my gosh, the 3-year-old we were talking about is in college, you know.
They had that comfort level with you and that trust with you, which is huge.
Sure. I'm not going to trust just anybody with my kid, you know.
No.
And at the end of the day, they're the parents, they're the ones in charge. But if we could all have helpers in the background that are like, hey, dude, you remember this? Oh yeah, okay. You know, great, because life can be crazy sometimes.
And Erika, I mean, that's one of the things I think you do very well. You are good with holding your kids accountable for everything. And you're also really good with communicating with them. You know, you said every day after school, you make sure talk to them about their day and see what they're doing, see what they're up to, even if they don't want to talk.
Well, they're all different, right? And I think, Todd, one of the things that you said that actually resonated with me was the communication aspect. And I learned that very young with my oldest, who was getting ready to go to college. And he was my easiest of the 3 when he was younger. He was like, whatever, I'm going to go with the flow. He was great. But when his little brother came along, they're almost 3 years apart. It was like, whoa, you have totally rocked my world. Like, what is this going on? Like, who is, yes, I'm very glad I have a brother, like he used to say. But when
how old was he?
How old was he?
Yeah.
How old is he now?
No, how old was he when his brother came along?
He was almost 3. So he was like 2 3/4.
Yeah. And they're 18 and 15 now, right?
Yeah, Jack will be 15 in 2 weeks. And then Owen will be 18 in September. So they're just like that 2.5, 3 years apart. But the one thing that Jack used to do is my middle one, when his older brother was going with the flow, Jack didn't want to go with the flow. Jack wanted to dig his heels in and be defiant. And I'm going to say that lightly. So what we had to do with Jack, and I learned quickly, is, okay, in 10 minutes, we're going to turn off the TV and we're going to go play with Legos. And then, okay, Jack, we have 7 minutes, and I would have to count down. Jack, you have 1 minute. And as I did that repeatedly, the transitions were so much more pleasant until one day Owen goes, why didn't you do that from the beginning, Mom? And he was 3, right? Like, or 4 when he said that. I'm like, all right, buddy, like, who are you to tell? Like, I had to learn that. And my young kid realized, like, why didn't you do this all along? It's so much more peaceful.
Don't you love it when they call you out?
No, that's hilarious.
But at least he didn't drop a duh, Mom.
No, he didn't. But there's a scientific. You said that's a scientific diagnosis. You know, duh.
It is. It's a clinical term.
Clinical diagnosis. But it was one of those things that I had learned because of trial and error. It wasn't what I did with Owen wasn't working with Jack.
But that's all. That's all we should expect from ourselves as parents. Like, again, I defy you to find that perfect parent or something. And like you're saying, if you have multiple kids, like, good luck parenting them out of a book, you know, because like the book doesn't know your kid. And there's always a kid who's a little bit more stuff off their back. And there's always a kid that's way more sensitive. And the way they show up is different. And the way you have to meet their needs is different. They'll be less likely to cry sometimes when they're sensitive. They'll be more likely to defend themselves if they're sensitive. And then you'll think they don't care, but they actually care too much. You know, you have to tune in to your actual kid, you know.
But do you notice too, Todd, that like, and again, I have a huge age gap, right? So my oldest is 17 and a half and my youngest is 8. So I have 9 years between them, almost 9 years between them. And the things that I had to deal with the older one, we didn't have smartphones back in 2008, 9, 10, 11. Like, they weren't a thing, right? So when we went out to a restaurant, we had those placemats that we would put and they would color on the placemats. Like, we didn't think about iPads because they weren't a thing. We didn't bring any electronics because they weren't a thing. So my parenting with him was coloring and tic-tac-toe and things when we would go out to restaurants. Same with my middle. Now we go out to a restaurant, which we don't do a ton of just because we like to cook and get takeout and whatever. But when we do, he goes around and I don't allow him to bring anything. And he goes, but that kid has it over in that booth, Mom. And this one has it in that booth. How come I can't have it? And then we start to have a lot of emotion. And then we start to get very upset because, well, he has it and I don't have it. And that's not fair. And why can't I have it? So we've had to pivot a bit because of the social norms that are going on around us, right? Like I can't control what the parents in the next booths are doing that my son's observing. But what we've done is we say, okay, if we sit and we have 10 minutes of family conversation, you can earn 5 minutes. And the games that we have on our phones are, what's it called? Geometry Dash. It's not crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's not
So
first person shooters.
Exactly. Yeah, we're not doing any of that. So he can earn 5 minutes. But the point being, we need you to earn it. You need to have conversation with us first. So are those things that you would have parents work on in those social situations where they're seeing, their friends?
Sure. I found a cheat code myself and it was worth every dollar. My kid went to a school where they just didn't do technology until they were at least in 8th grade, and even then phones were not allowed in the classrooms and stuff. And all of his friends' parents, I lived in a rural, okay, I'm going to out the town now, Sebastopol, California. So beautiful, great little town.
Yeah.
I live in Santa Rosa now. Sebastopol is out more towards the coast, about 20 minutes. Beautiful little town, great people. But almost all of his friends, their families lived on farms or vineyards or whatever. They weren't all rich or anything, but it's a rural. So we didn't have to deal with it. We didn't the kids didn't care that they didn't have screens because their friends didn't. And what I have found over the years, because I can literally, I can talk. I could go for an hour or two just on what you just asked me. So I'm going to try to keep it concise. But you hear from kids all the time, and Jonathan Haidt in his book, The Anxious Generation, and he does writing about this, that a lot of times when you make a screen-free rule in a classroom or in a little village or whatever, like the kids go, thank you. Like I didn't want to be on it so much, but everybody else is, Yeah. And so I try to have a pragmatic view about technology. Okay. I don't appreciate people who get up on a soapbox and tell people how they're rotting their kids' brains and they're really destroying them if they give their kids 5 minutes on the, I don't appreciate that. I don't think it's helpful. And I don't think it's taking into account what you're talking about, which is the social dynamic and stuff. I will say, on the other hand, I'm feeling a little bit more urgent about this topic because over the last 10, 15 years, I've just seen it get more and more concerning how technology and now AI was affecting kids' development. Okay. So I purely, and Jonathan Haidt, if you know the book or you don't know the book.
I have it. It's right next to my bed.
Yeah. It's on my shelf back here. It's just an overwhelming case, guys, for the rates of anxiety and the rates of depression and the rates of self-harm are just going through the roof, and it completely corresponds with smartphones. Okay. Yep. The number one question or number two question after am I screwing up my kids that I get is my kid is addicted to technology. How do I put it back in the box?
Yeah.
Okay. I get that every day, all the time. And I tell people the honest truth. One, it would have been better if you didn't go down the path in the first place.
Start with, right.
Because it is addictive, guys. Let's just be real.
No,
it's addictive.
It
raises
rush.
our dopamine levels.
Yeah.
I can say that we were in Las Vegas for Thanksgiving a year or two ago, my wife and I, before we were married, and we were in this really nice upscale steakhouse at the Fontainebleau in Vegas. And this group came in that was clearly tech people, okay? Because I work with them a lot. I can see them coming. And they clearly had enough money to buy 3 tables in this expensive place. And every single kid was at the table by them. They were at a kid's table, and every single one of them was on a Switch or a game, a phone. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, they were behaving. Yeah, the parents were enjoying their steak and their cocktail. But I can also tell you, I go into my favorite pub down the street, Russian River Brew Co. Don't mean to call you guys out. I love you guys. It's not
you might get a free dinner out of this.
It's not about them. It's actually about their customers, and the bartenders, the beer tenders will make fun of them. I've gone in there sometimes, and you go out and let's go be social and let's go see people.
Yeah.
And everybody at the bar is on their phones.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
Not always, but right.
Yeah.
So I could, again, maybe have me on again sometime. We'll talk about technology more, but here it is in a nutshell. The number one thing that I am concerned with about children is that they need to develop a secure base.
Mm-hmm.
They need to go out into the world, not a complete perfect being, but they need to go out into the world feeling like, I have self-worth. I'm a good person. I want to be around good people. It makes sense to me to have good boundaries. It makes good sense for me to be around people with good boundaries. And if my kid goes out into the world like that, they're not going to make a lot of the mistakes that we fear as parents.
Yeah.
Because the reason why kids are getting into a lot, and guys, obviously bad things happen to good people.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, a lot of the things that our kids are doing with drugs and alcohol and sex before they're ready or getting, pregnant early is because they're trying to get their needs met for attachment. They're trying to feel like they're important inside or they're secure inside, and they're looking for love in all the wrong places. Okay. So that's my main concern. I told you the little anecdote about the steakhouse or about the brewery because it is easier if I walk into a bar and you guys are sitting on each side of me and you don't know each other and I sit down at the pub, it's harder to engage with you
100%
than it is to go on my phone and see the latest thing that the politician did that pisses me off.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Or to check up the scores.
Yeah.
It's harder to turn to Steve, who might be like, dude, I don't want to talk to you. It's harder for me to do that. It's harder for me to turn to Erika and talk to her. Right. And so what I'm saying about that is it's easier for our kids to bury their head in a screen or try to seek connection through social media and the algorithm than it is to vulnerably go up to my mom or my dad who might be busy right now or might be distracted right now or might be dealing with my other sibling right now and go, Dad, I really need to talk or something. Because what if you say no? What if you think what I'm concerned about is ridiculous? What if I'm and that's how we're wired as people. So that's my main concern with technology is it's easy for all of us. I used to work with kids in the group homes, and I told somebody this story earlier today. All of a sudden, these kids that had horrible backgrounds that I had worked with in a group home, and now they were in a foster home in Petaluma, they're like, hey, Todd, can we go to the library? I'm like,
Let's go.
Yes, let's go. You want to go to the library? Let's go. One of the kids was a voracious sci-fi reader, but the rest of them, I'm like, you want to go to the library? Why did they want to go to the library? Because they had just introduced MySpace. And these kids wanted to go to the library to get on the computers because they thought they had 3,000 friends.
Oh.
They didn't have 3,000 friends. They had people who were compiling friends. So they looked pop, right?
That's
so it's a
really interesting.
It's a non-vulnerable attachment.
Yeah.
And so I get concerned if I see a kid going for a screen rather than a person first.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see a kid who clearly will always go to his dad or his mom or his grandma or his uncle or his teacher when he's having a concern, and that's the first thing he does, okay, I'm a little less worried about that kid, but that takes a while because it's so tempting to go to technology, right?
Yeah.
I'll do it myself. I'll preach this all day.
Erika said
and if I'm really tired, I'm like, my wife's sitting right there. I'm like, okay, what did that politician do? Right?
Yeah.
But then
meanwhile, our anxiety is going through the roof because the world's burning down around us. But hey.
Right. But I won't go deeply into the other thing because I know we've been here a long time. But the other thing is maturity processes. And just quickly, Dr. Neufeld, who mentored me, taught me this from the literature. I want to see a kid who's curious and doesn't get bored that easy. And William Yates had a quote: "Education is meant to be the lighting of a fire, not the filling of a bucket."
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that. I want to see a kid is like, how does this work? And how do I take this apart? And how does the world do that? Right. And my son was surrounded by these kids. Right. And I love it. And kids are born that way, but too many screens and they don't have that as much.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I'm
toxic.
just telling the truth. Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
Because they're getting other people's creativity. They're not doing their own. And the dopamine levels are going up. So dad goes, "Hey, bud, let's go out and take a hike." And they're like, "That's boring."
No. Yeah.
Why is it boring? Because I'm not getting that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're doing when we check our emails constantly. We're trying to get a dopamine hit. Well, our brains are a little more set than theirs. And even for us, it's bad.
Yeah.
I want to see kids who can weigh things out, which we do not see in politics at all. Part of me feels this and part of me feels that. And you make a good point, but I think this. I want to see a kid who can do that in their brain.
Right.
And technology can get in the way of that too, because the algorithm does not do that.
No,
Okay?
it only shows you what you want to see, right?
If
What
you
your
went
brush
on
is
there
giving
and you like the president, you're going to get nothing in your algorithm but things that are compatible
your
with
feed.
that. If
Right.
you go on there and you put on the head Democrat or Alicia Ocasio-Cortez or something, you're going to get nothing but liberal stuff that confirms what you say. It doesn't support you
that's how it
thinking things
figures it out.
through.
Wow.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
And then the last thing, and you guys are so patient with me. You got me at the end of the day. I'm
No,
leaving it
I
all on
love
the-
it.
I'm learning.
I'm leaving it all on the field, Steve.
It's great.
But the last thing is, and one of my greatest concerns is we all get frustrated. Everybody. We can't always do what we want. We can't always be what we want. We can't always make happen what we want. Our friends don't always respond the way we want. That girl doesn't want to go out with us the way we want. We don't get, and these things lead to us getting full of frustration. And when human beings get full of frustration, like my kid at the end of the day with the raccoons, see how I brought it all together there, guys? I tied
Tied it up.
Huh? Greatest podcast guest in the world.
I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
let that one go.
But
Right name.
but the thing we talked about at the beginning when I talked about limits, that's how it happens. A good, loving presence who's a big mama bear. And I watched a couple of your clips, guys, before I came on. I know you're a big mama bear, Erika.
Oh, I am. Ask my boys. They don't love it all the time.
I know, but that's what they need, right?
Mhm.
And they're gonna, the rest of their life, they're gonna say, "Mom, man, she could frustrate us sometimes, but she always took care of us," right? That's what they're gonna say. But the way we get resilient inside, the way we get adaptive, is we feel those feelings and we process them and we get them out, and then we feel better. And then we have new ideas, just like you knew intuitively when I told you my kid lost his mind and he cried, but then he went, right?
Yeah.
We need to help our kids with that. Technology can also be a way of not feeling my feelings, of not dealing with the crap inside, not dealing with what's frustrating with me. Because even if I'm playing a video game and I get stuck, reset button. I'm not stuck anymore.
You're okay. Exactly.
So that's just what I say, guys. If you see a kid that's securely attached, if you see a kid that can think for themselves, that is emergent, that can deal with their feelings, cool.
Creative.
You introduce technology to that kid, they are going to use it to be creative. They're going to use it to solve a problem. They're going to use it to find a way to connect with people. They're not going to use it to fill the needs that aren't getting met. So I just say to parents, if you give your kid a phone for 5 minutes and a non-destructive thing because it helps out, great. But Erika, the only thing I'd push back on is we have to have our values and what we believe in and go to hell everyone else. Okay.
Absolutely.
We all grew up. I'm a little older than you, but we all grew up. If your friends jumped off a bridge, would you?
No,
that was the parenting wisdom, right?
Yes, it was.
Hey, honey, I know other kids sometimes use their phone, and that might be right for their family, but in our family, we don't do that.
Oh, yep.
Because we connect with each other and we play and we do these things, and there's plenty of time in life for technology, honey. But right now we're here together at this steakhouse in Las Vegas, and isn't it interesting? And let's actually
Look at all
talk
the
because
people.
we haven't.
Enjoy
Right?
your
And
time
I will
together.
tell you, last thing I'll say about that, and people challenge me on it all the time. You'd be shocked, maybe, or maybe you wouldn't, how many kids would rather play a board game at night with their parents than play a video game.
So I'm going to tell you a funny story.
Go
I
ahead.
bought my oldest this game for Christmas, and I'm forgetting the name of it now. It's right around the corner. I could pull the box out. And it's got headphones, and it plays music while you're reading each other's lips. And we played that game Christmas night. I literally almost wet my pants. I was laughing so hard because watching my big boys, and it was hysterical. They're like, "Can we play it again? Can we play it again?" We played it for an hour and a half.
Parents
and we
think
laughed.
I am high when I tell them that sometimes.
Yes.
And if you understand, technology can be good. Again, I grew up in Silicon Valley. I grew up with Apple programmers living next door and loving,
That's
you
where
know,
it
I
started.
worked, you know, and I was involved in a lot of that stuff. I was on a video game TV show when I was 13. Do not look that up.
Oh, I
had
very
the most
well may.
Awful brown velour zip up,
We all
shirt.
had
I
that.
thought it looked so good at 13. But
I had a purple one, Todd.
so technology can be wonderful. The first time I put an iPad in my son's hand, I was there with him. We were at the All-Star game in San Diego for baseball. We were in the Airbnb. He goes, "Hey, Dad, is there an app on your iPad that like lets us design a house that like you and I can live in someday?" And I'm like, "Probably." And I brought up the app, and my kid knew how to work the app better than I did.
And that was
it
his
wasn't
first
because
time.
he had
Wow.
ever put his hand on an iPad. It's because his brain worked.
He had critical
Okay.
thinking skills.
So we put him in front of the TV sometimes when he was little, and he watched birds migrating on a DVD called Winged Migration. And mom needed a break, and that was fine, And if you 5 minutes here and you have to, great, that's fine. But we can't let it become the main thing, because it is addictive, and that isn't good for our kids. We want them to be kids. And I'm even more, that'll be our next episode, or we can talk about fatherhood some more sometime. But see me assume a welcome back invitation.
Oh, you got it. Don't you worry. We could talk for hours. This is great.
I'm hearing now from people, and we won't go into it now. I think I have to go get dinner soon. But they're finding their kids consulting ChatGPT about their deepest, darkest problems.
And they're asking, like, am I a good person? What do you think about me?
And we heard the horrible stories of a couple kids.
Right.
But then there's also, it's dumbing us down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It can be a great thing, but I find myself using it as a tool sometimes. And then I find myself going, I don't want to think that through. I'll just ask.
Yeah.
Right? That is not good for us.
No.
We need to be able to think. Okay.
Yeah.
And the people who are going to lose their jobs for the most part, and a lot of good people are going to lose their jobs. But the people who are going to do well are the people who know how to think and adapt.
Yes.
Because they're going to be the people who can just flow with it. If a person thinks I just need to stay this and do this, the rest of no, that's not going to work. And so we need to think and adapt. And unfortunately, the LLMs can kind of dumb you down and get you out of the process of thinking. Right.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I wrote the book. When I wrote it, is for 20 years, people are like, write a book. I'm like, I don't have a new thing to say. I'm more about the process of working with people. My mentor wrote a great book, and that's an amazing book. I don't know what I have to say, but all the calls about AI and screens and all the things I'm seeing about kids being less adaptive, and all the things about people getting more and more dysregulated in their nervous system, and they can't access what they know because they're in fight or flight. I just decided, okay, I know what I want to say now. So, that's all I have to say about everything. I got it all out. Bye.
Well, I just wanted to ask, because Erika brought this up about COVID. She felt that when COVID hit, that kind of really changed everything because we were all, locked in together. Everyone was pretty much using their electronics, and it set kids back in some ways, especially with interpersonal communication skills and being able to just have a conversation with someone.
Yeah,
Do you
but
think that it was COVID or it was even before COVID?
I'd say that happened across the board.
Yeah.
I'd say that happened with adults too.
Oh, it definitely happened.
But obviously if their brains are still developing, I mean, my kid was right there and his friends were right there in the middle of that stuff. And, we're paying all this money to go to this school that's on a farm and wildlife area. And it's just the most gorgeous place you've ever seen. And people move to the area to go to this school. And now they're on Zoom,
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was tough. But I gotta say, if the kids have the connection and the kids we're helping and work with them on these maturities and things, they adapt to it. But there's no doubt. I went to a baseball game with my kid this time last week and watching the Dodgers and the Giants play. Go Giants. Beat the Dodgers. Beat LA.
Red Sox.
Well, at this point,
thanks for the whole Pablo Sandoval thing. And,
I know.
Do you have a manager?
They fired their whole staff last week.
Do you guys have a manager?
Okay. They're managers from Worcester.
I'm just playing. We don't.
Unless they fired everybody.
We love when the Red Sox show up here because they almost never do. But it's a scary time for kids. COVID, no COVID, like there's not a lot of security in like, hey, I can go into this thing, a couple of years ago, we were telling every kid to become a coder.
Yeah.
I can code.
Yeah. No, I know.
I can go on Claude right now and I can code, and I don't know how to code, but I can code,
But I can tell you a huge difference between my two bigs who were, granted, Owen was a 6th grader when COVID happened. So, he had interpersonal communication, as did my middle one, but my younger one was 3. So we're big into when you're talking to adults, you look them in the eye, you shake their hand, you introduce yourself, you ask them how they're doing. We taught the same things to our bigs, but we didn't have the opportunities as often during COVID because we were only in our little bubble, right, of our family and staying around our people so that, we could have interactions with people, but we were not meeting random strangers. We were not seeing extended family. We weren't seeing friends where I would have my 3-year-old go up and say, hi, my name's Reed. What's your name? We would practice those things with the big boys. So I feel like now he's 8 and we keep trying to do it, but his attention span for that is like, hi. And then he walks away. And I'm like,
yeah. Oh. But I really wouldn't in any way worry about that.
Okay.
Guys, it was not ideal and it was not good. And people lost a lot of reps on human interaction. And I got to say, as long as you're there for your kids and as long as you're doing your best and you were there for them, it's okay. They adapt. It was not ideal. And I don't mean to compare scars, but
sure.
Think about our parents, think about our grandparents in World War I and World War II and cholera and Vietnam and the Great Depression and all this stuff, right? Everybody was saying how this generation, part of the problem is they haven't had to deal with any adversity. Mm-hmm. I was Gen X.
Same.
We didn't have a whole bunch of adversity that much. So adversity happens. It's how we adapt to it. And I think the kids can be okay. But it definitely worried me coming out of it that a lot of people, including me, because my son's mom and I split up. And so, I didn't have him half the time. Right. And starting, like when he was 10. And so, I was by myself a lot, because and I just saw a difference in the functioning of everybody. But at the end of the day, we can repair.
Yes.
We can overcome. We're resilient. And one of the main things I talk to parents of young kids about is, you probably know this, you probably heard this, but they don't have a functioning prefrontal cortex.
No.
They don't have a functioning frontal lobe until at least 6, 7 years old. And I say with little boys, don't even expect it until 7 or 8 years old usually. Little girls usually get there a little sooner. Right. Little girls can weigh things out and pay attention a little bit better a little sooner. Little boys, if I see a little boy who has a functioning frontal lobe like before 7 or 8, I'm shocked. Right. This will seem crazy, Erika, but has he lost most of his teeth yet?
No.
Okay. There's a little thing. My kid went to Waldorf school, right? And it'll sound crazy if you just listen to the Steiner part of it. But the guy who invented Waldorf schools, Rudolf Steiner, said, we shouldn't even try to teach little kids until they're about 7 years old. We can teach them to learn, to like to learn. We should do this and that and whatever you think of that. But his point was, it's not until they lose all their baby teeth that something changes about their brain. And that's the ideal time where they retain things better and they can figure things out more. Now, you could think that's crazy.
No, I think that's so cool.
But the teeth falling out part, people, what are you talking about? Jean Piaget, who's one of the most famous developmental psychologists, like a lot of schools are modeled on Piaget's work, said, hey, between 5 and 7, there's a shift that happens, and right? And so he kind of scientifically came up. But what do we know now? Somewhere around 7, the skull expands a lot. Okay, there's a rapid expansion of the size of the skull somewhere in there, 6, 7, 8 years old. When that happens, the jaw expands. When the jaw expands, the teeth fall out. Guess what? My prefrontal cortex now has room to connect to the rest of my cerebral cortex. It wasn't connected before. Okay. So if anybody tells me anything about their kids before they're 7 or 8 that they can't, like, you're not supposed to diagnose kids with ADD when they're 6 because almost all kids are ADD when they're 6.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And this is part of the reason why you could diagnose a 4-year-old with 17 things. Okay. Right. Because their brains are not online yet. So it's great to model to your kids good things.
This is the coolest, like literally my mind is blown right now, Todd.
When I used to teach a preschoolers class, and it was the first thing I said, and it was the first thing I say to my new clients when they have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, I go, hey, all these things you think your kid can do, your kid can absolutely not do. They do not even have the hardware. And even when they get the hardware, they don't have the software yet. You have to teach it, right? But the number one way your kids are going to be polite, the number one way that they're going to look at people in the eye is because they have a good relationship with you and you do that. Mm-hmm. That is the number one way kids are going to learn to be polite. I personally never told my kid to say sorry, not even once. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just, from a kind of geeky developmental point of view, I don't care about a kid saying sorry. I care about a kid feeling sorry.
Meaning it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I don't. And I have a trust that when my kid does something wrong, he has a good heart. He's a good person in there. It might show up right now as I didn't do it. Or I didn't know, because he's really afraid. But underneath there's a sorry. I want to allow that to come out. I don't want to force it to come out. They talk about it in development and philosophy as extrinsic motivation versus intrinsic motivation. Yeah. Give me intrinsic motivation every day and twice on Sunday. Okay. I want that. I don't think it's wrong when parents say, we look at people in the eye, because that's communicating like the technology. This is what we do. Mm-hmm. That's not wrong. Yeah. But I'm not going to force a hug or force a look in the eye or force a sorry, because I want it to come from in him. Because then when it comes from in him, that's him. That's not me. It's natural. And that he doesn't have to rebel against that later. Right. I'm not going to ever say that to anybody, because I had to say that when I was a kid. I don't want to hear that.
Right. Well, Todd, thank you so much. I don't want to take up.
You don't have another 2 hours? I can tell my wife.
Listen, You're coming back, Todd, because this was awesome.
We'll have you
learned
on
so much.
We'll have you on again for sure.
I would love to come on. The best podcaster in the entire universe.
Well, and, you got a lot of questions.
Erika's not too shabby either.
Yeah. I'm just going to give you a rapid fire round that we usually
do. No. Okay, here we go.
Okay. One word that describes healthy attachment with your kids.
Meteor.
Best.
I'm just kidding. That's from an old Saturday. That's from an old Saturday Night Live skit.
I know what you're talking about.
Meteor. One word. Home.
Yeah, I would agree. Best one sentence script to calm a child in a meltdown.
I love you. I'm here. It's going to be okay.
A phrase.
There was commas, so it's one sentence.
Yeah, that's perfect. A phrase parents should stop saying.
You're fine.
Yeah, sometimes you're fine, or why are you doing that? I don't know. That you stumped me on that one. I'm gonna hang up with.
For me, because my mom would always be like, "You're fine, and meanwhile, I'm like, I'm not fine.
Yeah, or you should know better, or use your words. If I had words, I would use them. Damn it,
Yeah.
Like it's stuff like that. It's just like it's prescriptive stuff. Why did you do that? I don't know why I did that.
Exactly. And you've mentioned several of them, and obviously your own, but one book every parent should read.
Well, everybody should mandatorily have The Calm and Connected Parent. But, I think my number one of all time is still Hold On to Your Kids by Gordon Neufeld.
Okay.
Really?
And also someone who's become a lot more famous since the book came out. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Gabor Mate. Gabor Mate used to be a client of Dr. Neufeld's. He was a physician. Now he's a famous author. He has all these great books. Amazing guy. Hold On to Your Kids was the one I picked up when my kid was less than 1 year old. I had to buy it from Canada. It was way too expensive. I already had a stack this high of books that his mom told me I had to read. And it's still my favorite because I think it helps you see the big picture of child development better than anything else that I didn't write.
Yeah, no, I truly appreciate that. I'll read it myself. But thank you so much for coming on. We'd love
had
to
a great time, guys.
I mean,
and for anybody listening, you guys should take a read, The Calm and Connected Parent. By Todd Sarner. And I myself am going to be purchasing this because I can always improve. Calm is not typically in my repertoire. We can always improve.
Part of the point of that, and not to keep you another hour, but what I find is what I said earlier. Lots of people have a lot of information. And in the moment where the stuff's hitting the fan, they don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
And then you could go on Instagram and you can listen to another podcast, but if your brain is offline, you can't do it.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's important to have the right information. It's important to be informed by child development and what really works. But you also have to have unity with your co-parent, and you have to have regulation of yourself. Because if you don't have those things, I don't care how many wonderful podcasts by the best podcast person in the entire universe and the next one over, you won't be able to access it,
You're right.
Right.
So we got to keep that brain online. Our kid has an excuse because he doesn't have that hardware yet, but we have an excuse. We have to kind of put more effort into keeping ourselves calm and grounded. And sometimes the right information helps us do that.
Yes.
Right? Because it's usually where we don't know what to do that all the crap comes up of what we don't know how to do or what our parents did or whatever. So yeah, I'm proud of it. Steve, the next book is for fathers, and that'll be out in the fall. And I can't wait for that one. As a dad, I don't think there's enough good information out there for dads. So that one I'm super psyched about, and I've been sharing it with people, and so far, so good.
Yeah, that's great that you did
That'll
that.
be for my husband for his, Christmas.
I'll send you an autographed copy. Read this or else.
All right. Hey, listen, I'll put it on his pillow at night.
And I also know
I actually
that
said that in the introduction. I think maybe you found this on the bookshelf. Maybe your wife put it on the something.
Oh,
like
that's
that.
so great! I love it.
Yeah.
and I also know you do a masterclass for parents. I saw on your website.
Yeah, go to the website, and
I'm gonna put it in
we
the show
try to
notes.
hit every tier of like, what do you need?
Okay.
Go to YouTube if you just want good free advice. Like some of the best stuff, some of the biggest questions I get, I try to make a YouTube video about it. I started it when I was living in Japan for a few months, a couple years ago. And that's why people go, is that a green screen? It looks like you're in a Japanese living room. No, that was my apartment in Osaka. I had a little extra time on my hands because my clients were asleep in the afternoon. I have the book, and you can find the link to that, and it's on Amazon.
I'm going to put that in the show notes. So
yeah, and then if people want to work with me or they don't, they go to the masterclass, masterclassforparents.com, which is on the website. And it's a 20-minute, here's the best I can do in 20 minutes to kind of tell you the whole picture. And if that just helps you, awesome. But if you want to work with us, we don't have a ton of opening, and that's not a false scarcity thing. I just can't work with that many people at once. So there's an application process. And if we think it's not right for you, we tell you, but that's more of an intensive program that we do. So we try to cover wherever people are. I'm a done with you guy. I'm like, okay, show me the expert and I need to go do it with that person.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But sometimes people I got time for a book right now or an Audible. So
no, that's
the website has everything.
I'll definitely put that on there. And again, the director of Transformative Parenting, everything you've said is really relative to kids, parents, and I think it's huge and a big help. And everyone, we will get to your questions with Erika another time, and we will have Todd on again. I promise.
Oh, sorry. Did I talk over something, Erika?
No. They like this because it's live, so people add questions.
If enough people have questions,
I take them down. Yeah.
Let me know, and maybe we do a follow up, and
I think we might
answer some questions or something. I don't want to leave people hanging if they have.
We
some
will.
questions.
You drew a pretty big crowd, so we will. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, Transformative Parenting with Todd. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So
I've been on hold with it for a few months, but I got a few new ones coming soon.
Okay, because I'll share this with you on YouTube. You can put it on your YouTube channel as well.
I sure will.
But thank you so much. And
I'm going to go apologize to my wife for being late for dinner.
Apologize from us.
But
tell her how much we appreciated you.
Girl, you can
I'll
just
talk
tell
to you guys.
The best podcast.
I'll talk to you guys real soon.
Thanks so much, Todd.
So remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them right back in.